get that feeling? Like a knot in your stomach, thoughts racing, and this like overwhelming sense of dread,
Oh, yeah.
anxiety.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's the worst.
Something I think most of us deal with,
Yeah, definitely.
but it can feel, I don't know, like so isolating, like
Yeah.
you're the only one struggling.
It's so true.
So today we're doing a deep dive into anxiety,
Love it.
and we're going to go beyond just like the surface level
Yeah.
to really understand what's happening like, in our brains and our bodies.
Okay.
But more importantly, how we can manage it.
How to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, bro.
So to get into this, we're actually drawing insights from a podcast episode.
Oh, cool.
It's called Understanding Anxiety, Causes, Symptoms, and Ways to Cope.
Okay.
And we're going to unpack all the science behind it, all the triggers, and most importantly, the tools and the strategies that give you power to actually take control.
Empower you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So something that I found super interesting, just from getting into the research on this, is that anxiety isn't just in our heads. For sure, there's this whole neurobiology behind it.
Right.
And it all starts with this tiny, almond-shaped structure
Oh, yeah.
in our brain.
It's called the amygdala, right?
Yeah, the amygdala.
Exactly.
Like the fear center.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, of your brain.
So it's almost like having a bodyguard in our brain constantly scanning for threats.
Right. Always on alert.
Always looking for danger. But here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
The amygdala can be a little overzealous sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
It's always on high alert. So it's think of it like a smoke detector.
Yeah.
That goes off every time you make toast.
Right.
It's designed to protect us,
Right.
But sometimes it misinterprets signals.
Oh, yeah.
And it triggers anxiety even when there's no real danger.
Totally.
I mean, that makes so much sense. It does.
I sometimes feel anxious when things are going well.
Yeah, same here.
So it's my amygdala is working overtime,
For sure.
creating these problems when there aren't any.
Right, exactly.
But okay, so anxiety is not just our biology, right?
Right.
It's also really connected to our genetics, our experiences, and even our own thought patterns.
Yeah. It's so complex.
So it's nature and nurture,
Yeah, it's like a combination.
both playing a role.
Exactly.
So in the podcast, they actually talk about this real life example of a woman named Sarah.
Okay.
So she's 27, landed this new job,
Nice.
super excited for the challenge.
Yeah.
But then she got totally overwhelmed by the workload.
Okay.
And I mean, anyone might feel some new job jitters, right? That's normal.
Yeah.
But for her, it escalated.
Oh, no.
Full-blown anxiety.
Yeah.
She wasn't sleeping. Her heart was racing constantly.
Wow.
Just constant worry,
I can relate to that feeling of being overwhelmed. Oh, yeah, me too.
It's like your brain is trying to process a million things at once.
Yeah.
And it just short circuits.
Right.
Can't handle it.
But if anxiety is caused by this, mix of factors, does that mean we're just stuck with it?
That's a good question.
Are we predisposed to it?
Not at all.
No.
That's the good news.
Okay, good.
While we can't always control the initial trigger,
Yeah.
we can learn to manage our reactions.
Okay.
We can rewire those thought patterns, and we can build resilience.
So it's not just
Yeah.
giving up and saying, well, this is me.
Nope.
You can actually do something about it.
Exactly.
So understanding the why, it's crucial, but it's just the first step.
Yeah, just the beginning.
Okay, so we've got this overactive amygdala, right? Sending out all these false alarms. It's combined with our own experiences and our thought patterns, just creating this perfect storm for anxiety.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Right. But how does this actually show up in our lives?
Good question. I mean, how do we know if what we're feeling is normal stress,
Right.
or if it's something more?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because anxiety isn't always obvious.
Okay.
It can manifest in really sneaky ways.
Oh.
It can impact us physically, emotionally, and behaviorally.
Wow.
Think of it as a three-headed monster.
Okay.
Each head represents a different way that anxiety can, rear its ugly head.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Tell me more about these three heads.
All right, so the first head, that's the physical one.
Okay.
This is where you feel those classic fight or flight symptoms.
Right.
Racing heart, shortness of breath, sweating, dizziness.
Yeah.
It's like your body is literally preparing for battle.
Wow.
Even though there's no real threat.
It's like that feeling you get when you almost trip.
Oh, yeah.
Your heart leaps into your throat.
Totally.
Except with anxiety, happening all the time.
Right.
Even when you're just sitting at your desk, just doing your work.
Sit. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the physical head. What about the second head?
Okay, so the second head, that's the emotional one.
Yeah.
And that's where you might experience, excessive worry, irritability, or like a constant sense of dread.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop, even when things are going well.
Yeah.
It's like this underlying feeling of unease.
And I imagine this constant worry can really, impact your relationships, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And your overall well-being.
Yeah, it's like you're always on edge, waiting for the next bad thing to happen.
Okay. And what about the third head?
All right, so the third head, that's the behavioral one.
Okay.
This is the one that can really sabotage our lives.
No.
This is where anxiety drives our actions, leading us to avoid situations or tasks that, trigger those anxious feelings.
So it's not just about feeling anxious.
Right.
It's about how those feelings, impact on our behavior.
Exactly.
Choices.
Yeah, it affects everything we do.
In the podcast, they talk about this guy, Alex.
Okay.
So he's a college student, and he's struggling with social anxiety.
Okay.
And particularly, public speaking.
Yeah, I hate public speaking.
So he knows that he needs to give presentations for his classes.
Right.
But the anxiety just becomes so overwhelming
Oh, no.
that he ends up, skipping class altogether.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and it affects his grades.
That's not good.
So it's like anxiety is creating this self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
He's so afraid of the presentation that he avoids it, which then reinforces his fear, right?
Exactly.
And it could potentially harm his, academic performance.
That's a really good point.
So recognizing those different phases of anxiety is crucial.
Absolutely.
Because once we understand how it's showing up,
Yeah.
we can start to develop, targeted strategies for coping.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, and that's actually what we're going to be exploring in the next part of our deep dive. The tools and the strategies that can help us, regain control.
I'm ready. So we've explored the what and the why of anxiety, but now let's dive into the how can we actually manage this three-headed monster and start feeling better.
Right, because knowledge is power.
It is.
But it's only really empowering when we can, put it into action.
Absolutely.
So give us the good stuff. The tools, the strategies, the real-world tactics.
I gotcha.
That can help us calm these anxious feelings.
All right. Well, the good news is there's a whole arsenal of strategies at our disposal.
Okay. Lay it on me.
We've got professional interventions.
Okay.
And practical things we can do, right now.
Okay.
In this very moment.
So let's start with the professional help.
Okay.
What does seeking help for anxiety, actually look like?
Well, therapy,
Okay.
particularly cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBP, is incredibly effective for treating anxiety. It's like retraining your brain,
Oh, interesting.
to think about situations in a more balanced and realistic way.
I've heard CBT mentioned before.
Yeah.
But how does it actually, work?
That's a great question.
What happens in those sessions?
So CBT focuses on identifying and challenging those negative thought patterns that fuel anxiety.
Okay.
For example,
Yeah.
if you're constantly catastrophizing,
Oh, yeah.
imagining the worst case scenario in every situation, CBT can help you recognize those thoughts,
Okay.
examine their validity, and replace them with more realistic ones.
So it's not just about feeling better.
Right.
It's about actually, changing the way you think.
Precisely.
Wow.
And there are so many techniques within CBT that can be helpful.
Yeah.
One that comes up often in the podcast is called cognitive restructuring.
Okay. Cognitive restructuring.
Yeah, and this involves actively challenging those distorted thoughts
Okay.
and replacing them with, more helpful ones.
So we're, factioning our own anxiety.
Exactly. Let's say, for example, you have a presentation coming up.
Okay.
And you find yourself thinking, I'm going to mess this up.
Yeah.
Everyone will judge me,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be a total disaster.
Oh, yeah. Been there.
With cognitive restructuring,
Yeah.
you would challenge those thoughts by asking yourself,
Right.
what evidence do I have for this?
Right.
Have I messed up presentations in the past?
Mm-hmm.
Do people always judge me?
Good point.
What's the most likely outcome?
It's about, shifting our perspective from fear to facts.
Exactly.
Okay.
And while therapy is incredibly valuable,
Yeah.
there are also things we can do, right now in this moment to calm those anxious feelings.
I like those.
The podcast emphasizes the power of deep breathing techniques.
Okay.
And I have to say, the science behind it is fascinating.
I've heard about deep breathing.
Yeah.
But to be honest, sometimes it feels like I'm just forcing it,
I get that.
How can I make it more effective?
So the key is to engage your diaphragm, that muscle below your lungs, rather than just taking shallow breaths from your chest.
So it's got to be deep.
Deep belly breaths.
Oh.
And there's this specific technique highlighted in the podcast called 4-7-8 breathing.
Okay, I've heard of that.
It's super simple.
Yeah.
You inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 4. Hold your breath for 7.
Okay.
And exhale slowly through your mouth for 8.
4, 7, 8.
Exactly.
Okay, I can remember that.
It's easy.
Even in a moment of panic, hopefully.
Yeah, even in a moment of panic.
So why does this work?
So when we're anxious,
yeah,
our breathing becomes shallow and rapid.
Okay.
Which actually signals to our brain that we're in danger.
Oh, interesting.
So by consciously slowing down our breath, we interrupt that cycle and send a message to our body that it's okay to relax.
So it's like we're hacking our own nervous system.
Yeah, no way.
I like that.
And another powerful tool mentioned in the podcast is mindfulness.
Okay.
Which is all about bringing your attention to the present moment without judgment.
Mindfulness seems to be everywhere these days.
It is.
But I'm still a bit fuzzy on how it actually helps with anxiety.
So anxiety often stems from worrying about the future or dwelling on the past.
Yeah, true.
Mindfulness helps us anchor ourselves in the now, observing our thoughts and feelings without getting swept away by them.
So it's like hitting the pause button on those racing thoughts.
Exactly.
I like that.
And there are so many simple mindfulness exercises you can try.
Okay.
One that I find particularly helpful is a body scan meditation.
Okay, what's that?
So you simply lie down or sit comfortably and bring your attention to each part of your body.
Okay.
Noticing any sensations without judgment.
I love that.
It's simple.
Yeah.
It's effective.
You can do it anywhere.
Exactly. And speaking of things we can do anytime, anywhere, the podcast highlights a real-life example of a woman named Emma who uses deep breathing to manage her work anxiety.
Okay.
She finds herself getting overwhelmed by deadlines and meetings.
Oh, yeah.
So she steps away for 5 minutes, finds a quiet space, and practices those 4-7-8 breaths.
I like that.
She comes back feeling calmer.
Yeah.
More focused.
Good.
And ready to tackle those challenges.
It's a good reminder that these techniques don't have to be complicated.
No, not at all.
Or time consuming.
Nope.
Even just a few minutes of focused breathing can make a difference.
Absolutely.
Okay. What else? What else can we do?
Well, beyond these in-the-moment tools, we shouldn't underestimate the power of lifestyle changes.
Like what?
Regular exercise. Limiting caffeine and alcohol. And prioritizing sleep.
Right.
These things can have a massive impact on our anxiety levels.
I know all of that makes sense.
Yeah.
But honestly, sometimes it feels impossible to fit it all in.
I know what you mean.
Between work and family and all the other demands of life.
It's a lot.
Finding the time to exercise or get enough sleep, it could be a real challenge.
It's true.
It is.
But it's not about being perfect.
Okay.
It's about making small, sustainable changes that you can stick with over time.
Small changes.
The podcast shares the story of Mark, a busy dad who found relief from his parenting anxieties through morning runs.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't about training for a marathon.
Yeah.
It was about finding an activity he enjoyed and making it a consistent part of his routine.
So it's about finding what works for you.
Exactly.
What you enjoy.
Yeah.
And building those healthy habits gradually.
One step at a time.
It's not an all-or-nothing approach.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
And as we've been discussing, anxiety isn't just about our biology or our circumstances. It's also deeply intertwined with our thought patterns. So in addition to all these practical strategies, it's crucial to address those negative thoughts directly.
So it's not just about calming the body.
Right.
It's about calming the mind as well.
Exactly.
Okay, how do we do that?
One of the most effective ways to do this is to challenge those anxious thoughts. Just like we discussed with cognitive restructuring, instead of letting them run wild, we can examine their validity.
Okay.
and replace them with more realistic ones.
I love that idea of fact-checking our own anxiety.
Yeah.
It's about shifting our focus from fear to facts.
Exactly.
Okay.
And remember, you don't have to face this alone.
That's true.
Building a support system is crucial.
Yeah.
Talking to trusted friends or family members about what you're going through can be incredibly therapeutic.
Sometimes just sharing those anxieties out loud can make them feel less overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like you're releasing some of that pressure.
Exactly. And if you're not comfortable sharing with those close to you,
Yeah.
support groups can be a fantastic resource.
Oh, yeah.
It's a safe space to connect with others who understand exactly what you're experiencing.
It's like that saying, a problem shared is a problem halved.
Exactly.
Okay.
That makes sense. And finally, don't underestimate the importance of taking breaks.
Breaks.
Yes.
Yeah.
In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle
Yeah.
and forget to prioritize our mental well-being.
It's like we're all running on this constant treadmill
Right.
of to-dos and obligations, and we forget to hit the pause button.
It's so crucial to build regular pauses into your day
Okay.
for activities that help you recharge and de-stress.
What kind of activities?
Whether it's meditation, reading a book,
Okay.
spending time in nature,
I like that.
or simply taking a few minutes to just be.
Yeah.
Those moments of respite can make a world of difference in managing anxiety.
It's about giving our minds and bodies a chance to, like, reset and recharge.
Exactly.
Okay.
And remember, managing anxiety is a journey,
Okay.
not a destination. There will be good days and bad days.
Yeah, for sure.
But the key is to keep practicing these strategies,
Okay.
building those healthy habits, and seeking support when you need it.
I like that.
You mentioned knowledge is power.
I did.
And that's so true.
It is.
The more we understand about anxiety,
Yeah.
the more empowered we become to manage it effectively.
That's such a powerful message.
Yeah.
It's not about, like, eradicating anxiety completely.
Right.
It's about learning to live with it, manage it,
Yeah.
and even use it to our advantage.
Exactly.
It really is about, like, reclaiming our power,
Yeah.
and not letting anxiety, like, dictate our lives.
Totally.
So one of the most powerful quotes I came across in the research,
Yeah.
one that really stuck with me,
Okay.
is from Claire Week's book,
Oh, yeah, I love her.
Hope and Help for Your Nerves.
Yes, great book.
And she says, acceptance in facing your fears is the first step to overcoming them.
So true.
It's such a, I don't know, it's such a simple yet profound message.
Yeah.
It's like we don't have to pretend anxiety doesn't exist or try to push it away.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging it, understanding it,
Mm-hmm.
and then taking those first steps towards managing it.
Totally.
Those are the keys to, like, breaking free.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
It's a journey, not a race.
Yeah.
There'll be setbacks and challenges along the way.
For sure.
But that's okay.
Yeah, it's all part of the process.
Exactly.
It's about progress, not perfection.
I like that.
Yeah.
And, I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is that anxiety is manageable.
It is.
You're not alone.
You're not.
And there are so many tools and resources available to help you navigate it.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot today,
We have.
from the science of the amygdala to the power of deep breathing and mindfulness
Yeah.
to the importance of seeking support and building healthy habits.
It's been such an insightful journey,
It has.
and I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too.
Not just about anxiety itself,
Right.
but about, like, the incredible power we have to manage it.
They do.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave you with this.
Okay, I'm listening.
What's one small step you can take today to manage your anxiety?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It could be practicing the 4-7-8 breathing technique,
Okay.
scheduling a therapy appointment,
Yeah,
or simply committing to, like, a 10-minute walk in nature.
I like that.
It doesn't have to be this grand gesture.
Right.
Just one small step in the right direction.
Exactly.
Because remember, even small actions can create big shifts over time.
They really can.
So choose one thing, commit to it,
Yeah,
and start taking back control of your well-being.
you've got this.
You do.
And remember, you're not alone.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Of course, my pleasure.
And until next time, take care.